Welcome to the Emotional Fitness Club podcast, where you're just 10 minutes away from a great day every day. Today's episode, we're going to do our Glimmer based EWOD, and we're also going to have a great talk about blocked stress or trauma. But it's Mindful Monday, so let's get straight into today's EWOD. Your prompt for today is, what's something you did recently that helped you manage stress effectively? So what's something you did recently that's helped you manage stress effectively? Now, what we're trying to do here is promote inquiry into what we're doing right. It's about highlighting the fact that not just our existing knowledge, but our actions, we have been taking action towards trying to improve our stress. A lot of the time, our brain is so focused on what we're not doing, what we could do better, how other people are doing things so much better than we are. And we fail to notice the fact that either we've been implementing things that are sort of working. Maybe we're implementing things that haven't worked at all, but we're implementing. Or maybe we're not implementing yet, but we're learning and we're educating ourselves and we're thinking about things. What we're trying to do here is start to turn and change your brain to build up those glimmers that we're talking about, right? What's something that you did recently that helped you manage stress effectively, helped you learn about managing stress effectively, gave you some ideas to improve the way that you're managing stress? So I want you to sit with that, and you might be like immediately, I didn't do anything. I don't do anything. I can't handle stress at all, or stress is unavoidable, both which are incorrect. I want you to look at something that was stressing you out, something that was making you feel overwhelmed, worried. Maybe you were reactive or extra tired about something. Have a think and go, normally it's something that's been bothering me, worrying me, stressing me out, right? Forced me to adapt. And what have I done to try and manage that better? What have I done to try and eliminate that? What have I done to try and reprioritize or delegate or offset or eliminate that from my life? And the whole goal is just starting to identify that, hey, I am doing a good job. I'm trying things. I'm always trying to move forward. And that's what matters, right? It's about identifying, yep, I'm not quite where I want to be, or that worked really well. Another really powerful thing to do in this situation is to think about times where I felt like I was under a lot of pressure or stress. There were a lot of different challenges being thrown at me, but I was regulating really well. What was I doing in that time? So sometimes we go back to what we have been doing, and sometimes, you know, change of lifestyle, environment, situation manages us to drop off some of these great habits or actions or traits that we had, right? And so this question is just about inquiring into that. So next up for today, I wanted to talk to you about blocked stress, or what I call, everyone's calling trauma these days. For almost 25 years, I've been solely focused on helping people, including myself, manage stress. And when we say stress, I want you to understand that stress is any challenge that you're facing that takes you off center. Whether it's a physical stress, like something causes bloating in our stomach, or I've got a pain in my back, or I'm working my muscle out, which is a eustress, right? A positive stress. Anything that causes my brain to have to adapt, something that causes me worry, anything normally that's associated with a negative cause that we're worried about, right? Is what we call a stress or a challenge. But what I'm worried about and what I do with, this is basically how I treat people's trauma. So my job every day is to bring people into the sessions, understand everything about their past, everything about they're going through, every one of their diseases and diseases, and then find the cause for that, and then eliminate the cause and the reason why that strategy has been in place. Now, we've got strategies emotionally, right? If somebody makes me feel threatened, some people go really, really quiet and they avoid conflict. That is a strategy. Some people, while they're still threatened and they're still scared, they will go really up and they will react to that and try and shut the conversation down, or intimidate the person back. Some people will get violent. Some people will get really, really curious. Some people will completely avoid the situation, change the subject. Some people will, there's so many different strategies, right? Some people don't even let it get to a point of conflict. But what we want to do is to look at, well, not only is that what the stress is, what's the strategy, which are the stresses or the strategies to these stresses over my life that have caused this emotional dis-ease, right? And which ones have caused strategies within my body to create the disease I've got. So the migraine I've got right now, the way that I look at the body, it's a strategy. It's your body actually trying to serve you. It's doing what it needs to do to get you to listen. The acne that you're facing. Now, think about this. You might be like, how does that possibly serve me? Well, one, it normally gets people to drink a bit more water. It helps you clean up your diet, helps you take a little bit more focus. It helps you look at your stress. It helps you focus more inwardly, and it makes you a healthier person in all areas. I've never seen one acne sufferer that hasn't ended up becoming a much healthier person. And each one of those people, that's been one of their big values, right? So we can always go, this disease that I'm suffering, whether it's an autoimmune disease, whether it's a skin disease, a gut disease, a cardiovascular, a lung, any disease, it's normally a strategy that my body's come up with to help solve a challenge for me, a stressor. So when we talk about blocked stress, what we're doing or what I'm doing is we're looking at all the different strategies that we've come up against, all the challenges, everything we've come up against, and we're looking at what isn't working. We're also looking at where we've tried to adapt to this stressor, right? So we've been taken off our homeostatic balance. We've been pulled off center, and we haven't quite come back on. Now, sometimes we've got these really acute, severe stresses, right? It could be a car accident, could be a beating, could be something really, really stressful, which I call acute severe. Now, this pulls us way off center, and we might only adapt back 80%. Sometimes we don't adapt back at all, and we take on, all of a sudden, it's like, I start to close up, I start to armor over, I start to protect myself. My ego goes, I can never trust anyone, or I'm always going to get taken advantage of, or I go, that's it, always put yourself first. Or it says, that's it, never speak up, never put yourself first. And I create strategies based on what I haven't adapted to. And this is what happens in my body too. I get some toxins that come in, and because my liver's overwhelmed, it doesn't quite eliminate everything. And so the body goes, well, I've still got to manage this. I can't get rid of it. Let's try this. Let's chuck those toxins in our fat, or let's chuck those in our joints, or, and this is how the body's adapting all the time, it's always trying to create the perfect solution for you. Most times we just don't listen to it. Remember last week I talked about this. I'll say this over and over. Our body talks to us in sensations. What it's doing, it talks to us in our disease and our diseases, and it talks to us in imagination, right? So our sleep, what we're thinking of, where we're fearing, that anxiety we're having, instead of pushing it away or distracting ourselves from it, if we listen into it, it's giving us every single thing we need to know about where we need to work to clear what's been stored in my body. Because when we can't manage a challenge and we can't manage the stress and adapt to it, our job is, and this is why flexibility in body and mind is so important, right? And that's where that correlation between having a flexible body, flexible mind, flexible body, digestively, physically, emotionally. But when we can't adapt to that, can't fully adapt to it, some part of it has to take that on. So sometimes it's like, and it normally goes into our genetic weak points, and it'll be like the throat goes, I got that for you. I know you can't speak up right now. I'll take that. And we get neck pain, we get thyroid disease, we get sore throat, laryngitis, we get lung stuff, and depending on emotions that are playing, right? And this is how our body takes on and creates some of the diseases. And we didn't listen up. Like one of the best ways to think about that is a digestive issue. We might just have bloating, and we're like, shut up, and we ignore it. Then we have a little bit more bloating, and we're like, I'm just going to take some stuff to quicken my digestive system, or I'm going to take some heartburn tablets. And then it's like, okay, the body has to go, well, that strategy is not working. I need to be louder. And then it tries to talk up a little bit louder for you. and a little bit louder. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've got so much acid, or I'm so much pain in my stomach. Mm, take another thing, shut it down, ignore it. And then it just keeps going. And so one of our keys to managing our stress better, and also when we manage our stress better, it means that we have less stress blocked within us because we're adapting better. We're able to feel the challenge and manage it. We're able to feel the emotional challenge and manage it, feel the mental challenge, feel the physical challenge, and adapt fully, right? You've all had injuries where after that injury, I'm not back to 100%. I'm like, no, some people 50%, some people 95%. But that little accumulation, like I said, there's acute severe stresses and there's also cumulative chronic ones, which are just little bits and little bits. And when we talk about the body, right, it's like you might be someone who has really toxic skincare, and you also have to detox chlorine in your water and fluoride in your water, and you're detoxing glyphosate in all your food because you don't eat organically. And you've got all these products that have got lots of these preservatives and artificial colors and flavors and everything. And like, it doesn't seem like in its isolation as much. But when you add all these little hits to us, that's another little, think about your workload every day in your office or your work. Every time someone adds a little bit of a task to you, it just crushes you down, and there's more chance that you're not going to get everything done, more chance for things to go through and fall through the net, right? It's the same with our body. So being able to manage stress, being able to reduce the ones that we know about, all it's doing is just helping our body so much. Even just sleeping, like a stress in sleeping is, let's say I need 7.5, 8 hours a day. If I'm only having 6.5 or 6, I mean, I had 4 hours sleep for 15 years out of choice, and well, after initially no choice, but that's 4 hours less that my body's elimination systems have to do their work, right? They're clearing my autophagy, my everything to try and prevent cancer, to try and optimize my healing. It was interesting. I used to have this chronic postnatal drip, and as soon as I got my sleep down and released a few stuck emotions, it was gone forever. It had nothing to do with my diet, nothing to do with my genetics, nothing to do with anything else, really. Nothing to do with my room or my dust or all the different things that I bought or tried. They weren't a waste. They helped me learn those things, but really, really important to know. So hopefully that little chat's opened your mind a little bit to just how important, not just managing, but mastering stress is, right? Because when we just have to manage it, it really does wear us down a lot. And one of the key things we're going to be doing at the Emotional Fitness Club is, we're helping people combat anxiety and depression, and we're helping them adapt to the stresses in their life so things don't get blocked and things don't accumulate, so they live a happier, healthier life. So hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll be back next time. Bye.